Hello YouTube. Today I want to talk not about Ken Wilber's brain, but his heart. Every single person from Vishen Lakhiani to myself always talks about how smart the guy is. Let me state that this isn't the point of life. It is about cultivating the heart. It is about plugging into God and thereby finding the truth of unity consciousness within yourself. In that truth, you truly become stupid before the infinite and the all-encompassing embrace of the one. To illustrate this truth, I want to consider the hypothetical relationship between Gandhi and Ken Wilber. No matter his race or his big brain, Ken Wilber would have followed Gandhi into Indian independence because Wilber understands the moral truth inherent in the realization of unity consciousness. What is this moral truth? Inherent in the realization of God is the potential, nay, the certainty of the creation of some semblance of utopia. Many people argue against the establishment of utopia on the grounds that it has never existed and will never exist. Technically, this isn't true in the case of Gandhi and Aurobindo. Both men started spiritual communities that exist to this day, communities built on the highest values of the human race. So let's examine the structure of the Gandhian Utopia and his ideas on the creation of heaven on earth. So to do this, I will be getting into my book, Light, on Utopia versus the Fall of Civilization. In it, I go into history and religion and morality. And what I essentially do in the part that I'm about to read to you is I talk about future potentials for the human race and the political and economic structures that need to arise in order to deal with those potentials. So let me start by saying this future potential that I'm talking about is the darkest potential for the human race. So let's start reading. Qualities of the not so happy future. Rise of the dominant minority. Rise of tribalism and nationalism. Economic depression. Moral corruption. Rapidly declining populations. The regression of culture and science. The darkening of human consciousness. So what can one do under such devastating circumstances? Well, I have only one solution, the Gandhian Utopia. Even prior to these conditions, Gandhi called for a return to village life in which political autonomy, economic decentralization, and community living are the foundations of a world covered by little republics. Forget towns and cities. His utopia is built upon rule by the village elders, called the Panchayat Raj, who govern not by force or power, but by the popular consent of the community. Each village is a self-sufficient economic unit of a couple hundred people. Everything is made and sold locally, a practice called Swadeshi. Education is not based on the book learning of the West. Instead, Gandhi emphasizes the idea of bread labor and writes that every man must perform physical labor for his bread, working the land selflessly as a social service. So this is a high-minded value. And so for Gandhi, the only way to realize this value, let me read on. In the Gandhian Utopia, the desire for wealth and power is replaced by the ideal of non-possession and renunciation. To achieve this level of sainthood, Gandhi calls for a total shift in the consciousness of mankind through the practice of brahmacharya. Literally, this means going after Brahman, the self, which is God. Gandhi writes, Nirvana means the complete and utter extinction of all that is base in us, all that is vicious in us, all that is corrupt and corruptible in us. Enlightenment is the primary means by which utopia comes into being in Gandhian philosophy. It is the final end of the Indian ethos. Gandhi writes, man's ultimate aim is the realization of God, and all his activities, social, political, religious, have to be guided by the ultimate aim of the vision of God. This vision is actualized by moksha, or the spiritual liberation and freedom of the human soul from material reality. Gandhi, I have no desire for the kingdom of earth. I am striving for the kingdom of heaven, which is moksha. For Gandhi, non-duality is empathy between rich and poor, equality between male and female, oneness between all religions, and the union of the self with the other. In economics, he creates a philosophy that combines socialism and capitalism. The rich will use their riches wisely and usefully, and not squander them in increasing their pomp and worldly pleasures. It should not happen that a handful of rich people should live in jeweled palaces and the millions in miserable hovels devoid of sunlight and ventilation. So once the world is covered in utopian farming communities, Gandhi imagines that an enlightened anarchy will naturally arise. A national government is not needed since all individuals and communities learn to live within moral boundaries without imposing upon the rights and land of another. This harmony embodies the highest principle of ahimsa, or nonviolence. Gandhi: to practice nonviolence in mundane matters is to know its true value. It is to bring heaven upon earth. Through ahimsa, Gandhi envisions a future of incredible peace and prosperity. He writes, "I see no poverty in the world of tomorrow, no wars, no revolutions, no bloodshed. In that world there will be faith in God greater and deeper than ever in the past." Utopia requires a spiritual revolution in the individual, the realization of our oneness with the One, which leads to the selfless integration of parts with ever larger wholes, culminating in heaven on earth as all humans and nations become one life under the eye of non-dualistic consciousness. So Gandhi's final quote that I'll speak of. "In this structure, composed of innumerable villages, there will be ever widening, never ascending circles. Life will not be a pyramid with the apex sustained by the bottom. It will be an oceanic circle whose center will be the individual, always ready to perish for the village, till at last the whole becomes one life composed of individuals, never aggressive in their arrogance, but ever humble, sharing the majesty of the oceanic circle, of which they are integral parts. Therefore, the outermost circumference will not wield power to crush the inner circle, but will give strength to all within, and derive its own strength from it. I may be taunted with the retort that this is all utopian, and therefore not worth a single thought. If Euclid's point, though incapable of being drawn by human agency, has an imperishable value, my picture has its own for mankind to live." Gandhi. So that's all from my book, Light on Utopia versus the Fall of Education. If you want a free copy, drop a link below or drop a comment below, and I'll make sure to send you a digital version of the book. So have a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Hi, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're interested, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Have a great day.